the world's biggest stage, the most-watched television event in America. 100 million viewers holding their breath for 12 minutes of pure spectacle. And the woman who could have owned it all just walked away. Taylor Swift. The artist who commands sold-out stadiums and breaks streaming records with a single breath, has reportedly turned her back on the Super Bowl halftime show. Not because she wasn't ready. Not because she was too busy. But because the NFL flatly refused to meet her demands. What could possibly make the world's most powerful pop star say no to the biggest platform on earth? What went wrong behind closed doors? And why is this decision sending shockwaves through both the music industry and the sports world? The story begins with whispers. Industry insiders buzzing about secret meetings. Phone calls between Nashville and New York. For months, speculation swirled around whether Taylor Swift would grace the Super Bowl stage. The rumors seemed too good to be true for many fans, too obvious for others. But these weren't just rumors. According to sources close to the negotiations, the NFL had indeed reached out to Swift's team. They wanted her. Of course they did. In an era where halftime shows can make or break the entire Super Bowl experience, landing Taylor Swift would have been the ultimate coup. Think about it for a moment. This is the woman who single-handedly crashed Ticketmaster's entire system, who sells out multiple nights at the world's largest venues without breaking a sweat, who has turned her concert tours into global cultural events that governments literally plan their tourism around. The NFL executives knew exactly what they had in their crosshairs. Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl wouldn't just be a performance. It would be history in the making. But here's where the fairy tale takes a sharp turn into reality. Taylor Swift didn't get to where she is by accepting whatever deal was put in front of her. She spent the better part of her career fighting for control, ownership, and respect in an industry that has historically taken advantage of artists. Remember the master recordings controversy? When her former label sold her life's work without giving her a chance to buy it back? That wasn't just about money. That was about power. About who gets to control an artist's legacy. About who owns the rights to creativity itself. So when the NFL approached Swift with their standard halftime show package, they probably expected what they've always gotten from artists. Gratitude, excitement, an immediate yes. What they got instead was a negotiation, according to industry insider Rob Shooter. Swift came to the table with demands that made the NFL's executives do a double-take. She wanted full ownership rights to her performance footage. She wanted advertising slots during the broadcast to promote her own projects. And most shocking of all, she wanted to be paid. Now let's pause here, because this is crucial. The NFL has a long-standing tradition of not paying halftime performers. The logic has always been simple. The exposure is payment enough. When you're performing for 100 million people, that's worth more than any check they could write. For decades, artists have accepted this arrangement. Madonna, Beyoncé, Prince, Michael Jackson, they all performed for free, understanding that the Super Bowl stage was the ultimate career boost. But Taylor Swift isn't just any artist. She's an artist who has already conquered every stage, broken every record, and accumulated wealth that rivals small nations. GDP. The exposure argument doesn't work when you're already the most inscreffed person in the room. Swift's team made it clear that this wasn't about the money itself. It was about the principle. About establishing a new precedent that artists' time and talent have monetary value, even on the biggest stage of all. But there was more to her demands than just payment. The ownership rights request cuts to the heart of everything Taylor Swift has fought for in recent years. She wanted to retain control over how her performance would be used, distributed, and monetized in the future, just like with her master recordings. She wanted to own her work completely. This wasn't unreasonable when you consider the context. Super Bowl halftime performances live forever. they become defining moments in artists' careers. They're replayed, remixed, analyzed, and commercialized for decades to come. Swift wanted to ensure that if her performance became part of pop culture history, she would have a say in how that history was written. The advertising slots request was perhaps the most creative demand of all. Swift reportedly wanted dedicated time during the broadcast to promote her own projects. Think about it. She could tease new music, announce tour dates, or promote her various business ventures to the largest television audience of the year. From Swift's perspective, these weren't unreasonable asks. They were business propositions from one entertainment powerhouse to another. From the NFL's perspective, they were deal breakers. Sources report that the league flatly refused to meet Swift's terms. The word choice there is telling. Not declined to consider or found challenging. Flatly refused. It suggests a conversation that ended quickly and definitively. The NFL has spent decades building the Super Bowl halftime show into a cultural institution. They've created a system where the world's biggest artists compete for the privilege of performing for free. Breaking that system, even for Taylor Swift, would set a precedent they weren't willing to establish. Meanwhile, the NFL is left scrambling for a replacement act that can generate even a fraction of the excitement that a Taylor Swift performance would have created. According to recent reports, Adele is being considered as an alternative headliner. But even her considerable talent can't replicate the cultural moment that Swift would have represented. The timing of this news is particularly interesting. We're still months away from the actual Super Bowl, which gives both sides plenty of time to reconsider their positions. Negotiations that seem dead in September can come back to life by January. The circumstances are right, but sources close to Swift suggest that her decision is final. She's reportedly felt disrespected by how the NFL handled the negotiations and has moved on to other priorities. This brings us to a larger conversation about artist empowerment in the modern entertainment landscape. Taylor Swift's career has been defined by moments where she chose principle over profit, control over convenience. The master recordings dispute wasn't just about money. It was about establishing that artists deserve to own their creative output. Her decision to re-record her albums wasn't just about regaining control. It was about sending a message to the entire industry about how artists should be treated. This Super Bowl situation fits perfectly into that narrative. Swift isn't just negotiating a performance contract. She's making a statement about what artists are worth and what kind of current treatment they should accept. The ripple effects of this decision will be felt far beyond football stadiums and concert venues. Young artists watching this story unfold are learning that it's possible to say no to even the most prestigious opportunities if the terms aren't respectful. Industry executives are being reminded that star power comes with expectations, and that the biggest artists can't be taken for granted, and fans are getting a masterclass in how business decisions in entertainment are really made. But there's another angle to this story that's worth exploring. What if Taylor Swift's demands weren't actually about the money or the control? What if they were strategic moves designed to generate exactly the kind of conversation we're having right now? Think about it. The news of these failed negotiations has dominated entertainment headlines for days. Swift's name is being mentioned in connection with the Super Bowl, more than it would have been if she'd simply announced a performance. The controversy has created a cultural moment that's arguably bigger than any halftime show could have been. This wouldn't be the first time Swift turned a business decision into a publicity triumph. When she pulled her music from Spotify, it generated massive media attention and strengthened her negotiating position with streaming platforms. When she announced her re-recording project, it created anticipation and engagement that lasted for years. Could the Super bowl negotiations have been designed to fail from the beginning. It's a tantalizing possibility, but probably gives too much credit to strategic maneuvering and not enough to genuine principle. The more likely explanation is simpler. Taylor Swift knows her worth and refuses to accept less than what she believes she deserves. The NFL operates under a different set of assumptions about artist compensation. When those two worldviews collided, there was no middle ground. What makes this story so compelling isn't just the celebrity, drama, or the behind-the-scenes negotiations. It's what it reveals about power, respect, and value in the modern entertainment industry. We're witnessing a shift where the biggest stars no longer feel obligated to accept traditional industry arrangements simply because that's how it's always been done. Swift's generation of artists has more options, more control, and more leverage than any generation before them. The Super Bowl halftime show has always been positioned as the ultimate honor for musical artists. But what happens when the ultimate honor comes with terms that the ultimate artist finds unacceptable? We get moments like this. Moments where the entire system is forced to examine its assumptions and consider whether its practices still make sense in a changing world. The NFL will eventually announce their halftime performer for the upcoming Super Bowl. Whoever takes that stage will deliver a show that entertains millions and becomes part of pop culture history. But they'll also be performing in the shadow of the artist who said no. Every future halftime show negotiation will be influenced by what happened between Taylor Swift and the NFL in the fall of 2024. Swift, meanwhile, continues her record-breaking tour and her chart-topping career without missing a beat. She's proven once again that sometimes the most powerful move is the one you don't make. The Super Bowl will happen with or without Taylor Swift, but the conversation about artist empowerment, fair compensation, and creative control that her decision has sparked will continue long after the confetti has been swept up and the stadium lights have dimmed. In the end, maybe that's the real victory. Not the performance that never happened, but the precedent that was set. Not the stage that wasn't conquered, but the principle that was defended. Taylor Swift may not be performing at the Super Bowl, but she's given us something arguably more valuable. A reminder that sometimes saying no is the most powerful word in the entertainment business. The world's biggest stage will wait for another day, another artist, another moment. But the message Taylor Swift has sent will echo through boardrooms and recording studios for years to come. And sometimes, that's worth more than any halftime show could ever be. What do you think about Taylor Swift's decision to walk away from the Super Bowl? Was she right to stick to her principles, or did she miss the opportunity of a lifetime? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Luminoir for more behind-the-scenes stories from the world of entertainment.